Yeah. Hello now. Welcome back again to Bod TV. But what would they analyze all the trends with they happen? Hey, I get hot courageous for now. Hey, they say make the sack Yakubu Mahmood. LP don't come out there. Say they want make Yakubu Mahmood, alias the INEC chairman, make you vamood that seat. Say Tinubu na illegal. Why? Because you don't they borrow again, just like Buhari. What is the difference between Buhari and Tinubu? Basically, just enter, don't begin to borrow. We never work foul. In fact, we never will reach 100 days. In don't they borrow. Right now, they don't give them the $800 million. They don't approve that loan to run. Hey, my people, where will they work they go? This one, I can make many people when they talk, say, hey, now wrong idea for allowing Tinubu to enter. Say APC will always remain APC. For 8 years, Nigerians suffer because of APC. And right now, they open the same door for APC to come out again. Make the come rule Nigeria. My people, mokuna open a high. Because the same place, so would the waka they come from. Now we see the waka they go. There is no difference between Buhari government and Tinubu government. Oh, God. Now, this one, I can make LP, can gather, can talk, say Tinubu, now illegal president now it be. They say because the wuru and the nyama thing wey be say INEC chairman do say everything don't open, it don't come to light. Now this one I can still make some political party for anyone can talk say hey, they give LP access to the beavers, but right now they say LP don't they go they touch on kind thing for the beaver. How true this one be, my people? Hey, this government go tough. Oh, see, Buhari we wanna see na small thing. The one they come from front a big thing, my people. They talk am say Tinubu not get anything to offer to the extent. Now women come they wear a show okay. Come they tie gele, come they miss am for Aso Rock, my people. Hey! Now this one they come make Dr. Abasi talk say, hey, this government of APC, hey, we be say women they tie gele one go Nigeria, the other one go Senegal. They say if Tinubu not stop her, man, hey, that competition of they do, oh, hey. Una see that woman they call what that doctor, what did they call that woman? It do better. Now, for the fact say the kind lie where this woman they arrange they come they lie. And don't forget the last election where they do where they ask them say whether waiting happened to Jennifer and all those where they talk say women support me, say waiting in do. He say no yeah. I better want to study for another day because the video is for my channel. Now this one they come gele, they carry the attire they gele, they come what are they come show fashion to Tinubu. I mean, I don't know. All of them, they put the artist like this. They put the artist. Hey, now my people laugh, don't let me laugh. Hey, God of mercy. Laugh, don't let me laugh. This government, not even which person not go see. My people. May I come up for that one. I just want to come make Peter Obi come condemn the sit at home. Be say they all the app when be say they key anyhow. The video they trend. I go say show now the video, my people. That one sit inside the whole matter. See the video today too, Sarah. I go just let everything make you the all they play one by one. I beg una some more. I don't miss anything for this video because when I break come so we go interesting now where make una watch out from the beginning to the end because this government una need to open an eye. Oh, hey, God of mercy, I never see this kind of thing before. I don't want borrow. They don't they borrow money. Hey, or 800. They start with $800 million. Then they take start. That one are the starting money. Oh, hey, we don't know where the waka they go. Person use 800 million to start to the borrow. What you give with the next figure again, my people? Hey, God of mercy. Oh. The so-called the Mefele and the Bawa and the this, we not hear anything. I felt on from my last video saying I beg. Then they beg now to make DSS go charge a Mefele go court. We not hear anything again, oh, my people. Hey, this government, so we they look the court, oh. All eyes on the judiciary. We they wait for the day where they will give their final verdict. Me the hear for my ear right now. Say Tinubu they try all things to make everything not work out. Hey, How true this one be? We never know. We see they gather our information together, small, more come bring and come give una because this is our mouth and this is our eye. As they hear and I say they talk, we will come this channel, come analyze and give una say see waiting they happen behind the curtain. But the fact now be say Tinubu in one die for that place. He say the komoto. At the same thing, they go check LP and what do they call him Peter Obi record. They go find all record whether they will see come out for his story. They not see anything though. Outside they tell you my people they don't go call Peter Obi go one corner say they want set one. Only when you call what he say no agree lie. He said they not fit set one. They don't go dig papa side, dig mama side, dig all the people you don't have friend before. They don't dig man, they don't set the man up. They not see anything. Right now, I need chairman Kotosoki. As it come, this whole matter come be so. Make it be say if they not give Nigerians their mandate, everywhere go scatter. Now, the judge, me down the year said they don't they hooked up. Whether they will give the vet that they don't do. So quick, now Tinubu don't they begin to borrow money. Say in case we be say they can't judge the thing, no favor and he go no say no lose. At least money when they do election, he don't get them back. Hey, my people. See, not be everything we born the for media and I be true. I dey tell una, puna I wear because this government they come so it not different from Buhari. Now this one, every other evidence now bring come give una for this channel. Mokuna watch where area allow una not too much, not too correct. As I lawyer finish go reach. In fact, not too much. You guys are so supportive. I don't know how to say thank you. Maybe I keep saying it. Thank you so much. You guys should watch this video from the beginning to the end because I'm going to bring every pile of evidence. I'm going to bring it to you so that you can watch from the beginning to the end. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. This is Bod TV, Bod, where we bring all the trends together and show you one video. Thank you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
Well, thank you very much. Investigation. I'm surprised that you believe that this INEC needs to be investigated all over again. To establish its culpability. That's what all the reports said. All the opinions, all of them, including the one they consider sympathetic. That is the ECOWAS report. If INEC, and especially the chairman, is guilty of all those things, you go over them all over again. What more investigation do you want? INEC itself even gave evidence against itself. They had our hope, they raised our hopes to high heavens on beavers and IRF. The first thing that will happen on the election day is for INEC to report that there was a glitch. But what did I spend billions on and then donations from outside? Look, I've always asked the question that was, assuming what they are saying is correct, was it not anticipated that there could be a glitch or a technical fault, in which case you then have a fallback option? You didn't hear of anything like that. Months to the election, even weeks, it was common sight to really see the INEC chairman and the Public Affairs Commissioner pontificating on how they are going to give us the best election because of the usage of Vivas and IRF. Right? What happened? I don't know if it's possible. What I believe is that it was a deliberate sabotage. If anything like that happened. My team that was hosting them, he didn't report any glitch on February 25th. And we didn't even establish that fact, that there was no glitch. So you are telling me that what more investigation do we need to come to the conclusion that INEC needs to be sanctioned? I just don't know.
These issues you've raised are the issues largely that are before the tribunal. So is it that you don't believe that the tribunal will do a good job?
Not at all. Look, I've only asked for that of the chairman and his public complaints commissioner. INEC has already given its evidence, its witness testimony at the court. So that phase is past. The tribunal doesn't need them again to come and do anything. And look, the performance of INEC at the proceedings, further confirms the problem that this country has. The standpoint of INEC in those proceedings, because I make it a point of duty to go there daily, was that the electoral law, right, gives them the discretion, whatever it is, to bypass either BVAS or IREF and report manually. In other words, condemning what is supposed to be an aid to the performance of his functions. Right? This is what they have been saying at the court, supported by the other respondents, saying essentially, look, take your eyes away from this. Don't put emphasis on VIVAS. This can happen, this can. In any case, the electoral law did not limit them, did not constrain them to the use of electronic devices alone. Now, 300 billion down the drain of Nigeria's money. Millions of dollars from the international community. This is what you get. Right. So I don't know if when we want to talk about investing, I don't see any. Oh, look, they themselves, in the feat of escapism, they are making a scapegoat of their resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State. What has he done that they have not done twice?
Okay, so what I want to know is this, because some people will say accountability is one thing. I mean, we can ask for accountability. So much money has been spent. What was promised versus what was delivered. But if you're asking for prosecution, what you seem to be delving into is the realm of criminality. I don't know if you agree. Yeah. In this instance, what exactly will be the offense? What exactly will the INEC chairman be charged for?
Well, sabotage. Look, in any case, we already mentioned the fact that the money they spent or claim to have spent, they should account for it. So that's a crime. If they have misused the money that they have spent, it's a crime. Or all the things, if they are guilty of all those allegations that are leveled against them.
No, you haven't put an if in it. You have simply...
No, listen. There's no point in me putting if. We are asking you for what the basis. So I'm giving you the basis for that. That almost all the observers to the T, including media, including the General Situation Room observer of Nigerians, came to the same how, more or less, INEC sabotaged the of the elections. I'm sure you will have, when they come, they tell you there was the main witness at the tribunal, the IT director, one Dr. Bayodi. First, he's a pastor as well, a redeemed pastor. He refused to swear on the Bible. He said he doesn't want to swear on the Bible. Secondly, he doesn't want to be referred to as pastor. Right? So, you see, the thing that what INEC represents, unfortunately, is typical, in what has become the systemic crisis of Nigeria. See, it seems as if we have rogue agencies. Nigeria is, encircled. Where do you break this vicious cycle? Yesterday, there was a statement by the Vice Chancellor of the Ahmadu Bello University, Professor Kabiru Baya. He said his colleagues, who were used as returning officers, he said he shivered when they were telling him, almost boasting, of how they rigged the elections. I have it here in quote. So if you are interested in it, this was what the Vice Chancellor of ABU said. So if professors are doing this, so if gold can rust, what does iron? And so where are you going to break the cycle? Where? The country. especially as it affects the majority of Nigerian citizens. The Constitution of Nigeria allowed for nominations from 36 states. I do not think we should go beyond that in recognition of the stark economic hardship that is confronting our people. So also is the position of the CBN governor. It's also is constitutionally guaranteed a 5-year term. So that is why, well, I don't know the intentions of the president. That's why it cannot be removed and why they call it suspension. The same attitude should be applied to the INEC. The INEC has done enough damage that merits, being sanctioned accordingly. Ideally, anybody who has committed the kind of gross abuse of office that INEC has committed should resign. But we are in Nigeria where, all things. So that of CBN and EFC will remain a selective approach to justice. If INEC, whose wrongdoing actually has greater consequences, for the well-being of the nation. There is a point I would like to make, please listen very well. Now, from all the Observer group reports, what you will note, and even from Nigeria, among majority of Nigeria, is the severe condemnation of INEC in all facets of. Now, is it not contradictory to expect that an agency that does stands condemned will produce a honest result? I mean, there's something contradictory in saying that somebody is a thief, and then something is stolen and said, no, it's not him. He has stole the thing. So this is a big conundrum or contradiction for us to establish. If INEC is guilty as charged, that puts into contention and untenability of the results from such a compromised agency. The one was saying something about the IREC, the resident electoral commissioner in Lama State. You can see the efforts being made by the authorities in Abuja, quite an escapist manner, trying to say they want to discipline when they are the father of all the wrongdoings. There is nothing that the IREC direct man in Adamawa has done that this INEC in Abuja has not done 10 times worse. So, physician, heal thyself. You are caught pointing at the beam in somebody's eyes and forgetting the log, in your own eyes. So you see that, as I said, look, you can say we as parties, we as a party, we are partisan, right? So we have reservations and criticism. But what about objectively independent organizations, both in Nigeria and outside, coming to a consensus that this INEC is not credible? If the INEC is not credible, how can we expect results emanating from that same group to be credible? So this is the reason I think they've done enough damage, and at the very minimum, Chinaza was saying that if he has any shame, he will have resigned. But if the president has political will, there are ways of going around that. It can be suspended from office, just like what they have done to the CBN governor. So it's all, the only thing required is political will to do the right thing. But being the beneficiary of INEC's mischief, I wouldn't put it. I don't expect that. But if they have precedences, if in truly they have been honest with Nigerians. You remember the late president, Umaru Yar'Adua, that we quite openly acknowledge that, INEC and the results that were declared, they lack credit, but they are not of. And so he went ahead to appoint, set up an election review committee under Justice Mohammed Ways, to move Nigeria towards the objective of attaining credibility in election management. President Jonathan, Goodluck Jonathan, did a similar thing. So of course you remember that he didn't even wait for the elections to be concluded before doing what they do in established advanced democracies, and that is to save the country from trauma, from bickering, by calling President Buhari to come and, So, and of course at that time, you remember the conduct of these same APC people. They went so far as calling for the formation of a parallel government. So you can see the contrast in conduct, in the conduct of what we have today and what we have then. But more importantly, of course, is INEC. One of the problems of Nigeria is impunity. People will do wrong things, commit grievous offenses without any sanction. If this INEC, the chairman are not sanctioned, what will be the disincentive of future chairman of INEC not to do the wrong thing? After all, nothing will happen to you. We are also looking forward that in this instance, on account of the magnitude of the responsibility that is put on their shoulders, that they will do the right thing. In terms of proving our own case, I think we have done it beyond reasonable doubt, categorically, and of course, the PDP also has its own. So there is sufficient, overwhelming evidence, for us to expect justice. But the INEC again, from the proceedings, it is ironical, tragically so. The crux of INEC's presentation so far that I witnessed was the argument against believing in beavers and iron. Their own argument that they want to smuggle in is that the law permits them at one stage or the other to do things manually. So you then ask the question, so what was the purpose of the hundreds of billions expended on this technology if you had the same INEC that their own argument, the crux of their argument is malfunctioning of what they say?
14 political parties in Enugu State have protested what they describe as an attempt by the Labour Party to tamper with the bimodal voter accreditation system, that's also known as BVAS machines, used in the conduct of the March 18, 2023 governorship election. The party said that contrary to the court's order that the Labour Party and its governorship candidate be allowed to inspect the machines, LP wanted to tamper with them in violation of the law. Addressing newsmen at INEC's state headquarters in Enugu on Wednesday, one of the 14 party chairmen present and a gubernatorial candidate in the March 18 election, that's Dr. Afam Ani of the All People's Party, APP, said, and I quote, "We were invited by INEC for BVAS inspection because a court gave an order that the LP should come and inspect the BVAS today. But we actually came here yesterday. However, the LP insisted it was not going to hold and it was shifted to today," end of quote.
INEC complied with the order of the court by bringing out the BVAS. They went inside the store, searched for the correct ones according to the court's directive, and brought them out. And at the end of the day, the directive said that Labour should inspect the BVAS. Inspection is not tampering with the BVAS. And they came and were insisting that they were going to tamper with the BVAS. And the Electoral Act said that the BVAS should not be tampered with, except the INEC, who were empowered constitutionally to deal with the BVAS. And we all were here, we said, no, that it's not going to happen. And because of the numerous rascality that the Labour Party has been exhibiting in the Enugu State, and we witnessed them today here, and it was so awful. We are here to say that INEC played their part according to what they're supposed to do. We, the political parties as well, we're here. We played our part too, because we were here to see, to observe what was going to happen. And we observed that the thing was done according to what the directive of the court said.
What we have observed is that the beavers have been inspected. And that is that's why so we are happy with the INEC that they have complied with court order by bringing out the beavers for inspection. And the inspection has been conducted.
You overcame many problems. Is it fuel scarcity or naira confiscation? To understand that we have to go through this cartel and thieves have been reaping also and fleecing this country before now. You say enough is enough. We are juggling the ball on the appointments. Those who might not get ministerial or SA may get a board membership, may get a little bite of the apple. We can't satisfy everybody, but we will try.
In the last few days, we've seen a number of groups, interests, visit Aso Rock with an opportunity to speak to the president, and everyone is positioning themselves just before he announces some major appointments, ministers, and of course, members of boards of some government parastatals. Let me take us back to what the president promised during his campaign. He'd promised a 35% affirmative action for women. So he had said that he would ensure that at least 35% of his appointments would be women. If you look at his appointments so far, you would see that he's tried to bring in women, even though under this administration, following the elections, we've had one of the lowest participations of women in politics. We have currently only 17 women in the combined house. But with what the president has said, in all his appointments and in rewarding, in quote, the women for their support, for their hard work, not everybody would be able to be given an appointment or be able to get one position or the other. But what we are asking for is that these women who have gone, let it not be business as usual where it's just serving self-interest. We want to see women more represented in government. We want to see women taking on more prominent positions. Some previous administrations have done this. I mean, we're just speaking about Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala under the first President Obasanjo administration, featured in President Jonathan, in terms of advisory role, are now serving on the world stage, pushed by her country. So what we're looking forward to is not just women in appointments, but policies that would also favor women. We've looked at maternal, mortality. We've looked at women who are disproportionately affected by economic realities. So when we talk about fuel subsidy, we also have to look at how women face a double disadvantage of poverty following these announcements. So kudos to them. I'm looking forward to how far Dr. Betta Edu would go, as well as other, APC women, the Women Caucus. But beyond mobilization and getting votes for politicians, let women take an active role in government. Oji, I look forward to your appointment as well.
I look forward to your appointment, powerful Ayo. Well, all right. In the meantime, reactions have trailed the Senate's approval of a request by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to borrow $800 million from the World Bank to help cushion the impact of the subsidy removal, while the loan, which had previously been approved by the government of former President Muhammadu Buhari to help scale up the National Social Safety Net program, had been a subject of controversy. Well, Tinubu, in a letter to the lawmakers, said the purpose of the facility is to expand coverage of shock-responsive safety net support among poor and vulnerable Nigerians, adding that 12 million poor households will be paid 8,000 naira per month for 6 months, with a multiplier effect on about 60 million individuals. Well, let's take some reactions. This is from KSO, who wrote, in light of President Bola Tinubu's statement regarding the transfer of funds to 12 million poor and low-income households, there is a valid concern about ensuring accurate targeting and preventing the money from reaching those who do not require it. It is crucial for the Nigerian government to clarify the modalities used to determine the eligibility of these households. Well, you know that the House of Representatives also approved Tinubu's request to amend the 2022 supplementary budget of 819.5 billion naira so as to allow the government to spend 500 billion naira to cushion the effects of the fuel subsidy removal. Well, this changes will allow the government to redirect spending previously budgeted for other projects. Well, I'd like to just touch on a lot of issues here, Dr. Abati. If you recall, we took this story yesterday and we talked about the fact that that $800 million had not been approved. And we see that NAS has, like you said, speedily approved that loan only just yesterday. But a lot of questions are raised. I believe that when the finance minister talked about this budget, back in April, she talked about 50 million Nigerians. We are seeing that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has increased it to about 60 million Nigerians. Now, the question remains, how is this going to be shared? I believe that they talked about the fact that there need to be a cash transfer with mobile wallet. But I did a little bit of research, Dr. Abati, and I believe there was a report from Business Day Africa that I saw last year, which talked about 60 million Nigerians that do not have bank accounts. How is this money going to be shared? I'll take your reaction before I take one more.
Okay, the issue here, which is the issue on the table, is about transparency and accountability. Yeah. Under the Buhari administration, we were told social investment program, we were told the humanitarian and disaster management ministry trying to look out for poor and vulnerable. We were given stories about a certain social register that had over 10 million people. When they increased the number, they talk about
10 million households.
60 million. When they talk about 60 million, they talk about 50 million. They are talking about a knock-on effect based on the calculation that in every household you will have at least 4 persons. But this has been so vague, so opaque, so nebulous, that when any administration comes again and talks about, oh, it will impact about 60 million, people are suspicious. That's one question raised. The second question, if you say you are going to give people 8,000 naira per month, that's about, is it $10 per month? You know, how much impact would that make? Under the Buhari administration, there was some bogus analysis about how there was so much impact on families, but what we remember was the argument and the suspicion about the administration of the cash to the extent that government officials were handling physical cash. President Tinubu has said he will improve upon it. Well, we wait to see it. That's why I said earlier that the taste of the pudding is in the eating. And if you say you are targeting 60 million households, who is going to track that?
That is the question.
And we are over 200 million. We're told, we don't even know how many we are, by the way. And we are told that the population of poor people in this country within the next year will increase by 7.1 million. So what is happening to that social register? Is that social register going to accommodate more people? And we're talking about money here. I've made a point that what the National Assembly has done is to take ownership on behalf of all of us. We are the ones that have endorsed that loan from the World Bank. And then there's another loan from the IMF, which we are also going to endorse, I guess. And then there is a 500 billion naira that the Tinubu administration has asked the House of Reps to approve, which they approved. The speed with which this National Assembly is moving with approvals of requests from the president, I hope it will be a National Assembly that can think. Let it not be that they are just there. Anything that comes, you know, they just look at it and they say, we have approved. They received a letter from the president in the morning. They have approved it before people went for lunch. Did they even take their time to study, to debate?
This is the question.
This is the big problem that we have. And I hope that this will not be a trend, whereby the National Assembly will become a department in the executive arm of government. Those are the fears that we have.
Right.
As to the president meeting with APC women, very good. The president in his agenda, in his campaign material, says yes, there will be inclusion and that women will be accommodated. And we would like to see that in real terms. APC women and the president can be triumphant. But he needs to go a step further. I see they are all wearing ashwebi. I hope one of the things that the president can do as leader of the APC going forward is to abolish the women wing of the APC. Women should not belong to any wing where they are known for ashwebi. Have you seen APC men or PDP men wearing ashwebi? It's only the women who are wearing ashwebi. Women should be treated in the political process as equal partners, not as ashwebi wearing wing of the party. I hope that the president will have the courage to eliminate that. Two, I hope that he will also in his cabinet accommodate more women, give them, equal representation. And number three, in the photograph that was taken, I saw the photograph. There was a lady there, who was on a wheelchair. So that again is something that the president has been talking about. I hope that, it will go in that direction and ensure real inclusion. What I don't understand is what Bajabi Amela was doing in that picture. The handlers, look, presidents don't just take pictures. Even those pictures are organized. Bajabi Amela should have been asked to step aside. It was President Tinubu in the midst of APC women. Well, so that we will, this morning, we'll have been able to say that President Tinubu is blessed among women. Oh, so next time the president is taking pictures with women, just stay aside. Go to your office and do your work.
All right.
Putting yourself in
Rufai,
strategic pictures.
More on the breakdown of the approval by the National Assembly. Let me just take one tweet from Nefertiti, who wrote, Tinubu is seeking supplementary budget spending of 819 billion from the National Assembly, while your overfed reps will receive 70 billion as their own palliative. 8,000 naira only will go to Ronu families for 6 months. That's a meager 48,000 naira to beggars. Are you not entertained? Well, let me just give you that breakdown, Rufai, again. If we can pull up that breakdown, it says 500 billion naira for palliatives, 70 billion naira to National Assembly to support the working conditions of new members, 19.2 billion naira for Ministry of Agriculture to address massive destruction to farmlands due to flooding 2022, 35 billion to National Judicial Council, 10 billion to Federal Capital Territory Administration for critical project. I guess that the whole idea everyone is talking about is that 70 billion as well. But also we saw that the National Assembly had approved this whole, yesterday we talked about this supplementary budget for infrastructure, for these other ideas. So what's going to happen? Now we have $800 million from the World Bank and then additional 500 billion for palliatives. Where do we go from here, Rufai?
If you ask me now, I'll go ask you. Let's go straight to it.
Yes.
A couple of palliatives have been announced. I just hope this is not fraught in corruption.
This is the question.
Because when you even look at it, let's even go back. That's why the need for data is important. And that's why I will have favored that we had done the census even before the elections, before we started with this government. Because you need data to plan. They keep saying 60 million households. How? How did you get 60 million households?
I tried to do that calculation as well.
If you say if our population is 220 million, divided by 5 per household, how many do you get? That's about 55 million households. So, but that data is still suspect. So based on my television data, because this is my forte, media, I know when we benchmark television watching households in Nigeria, there are 30 million television households. So if you get a sizable number, you get, if you get 9 million households watch your show, you get a sizable number. So how do they even benchmark the data in the first place? Also look at the money the lawmakers are going to get. I tried calculating it. If they are to share that 70 billion naira equally amongst all of them, we have collectively about 472, across both houses. Let's round it up to 500. 500 divided by 70 billion. That's going to give us 140 million for each lawmakers. So 500 people, if they're to share it equally, can receive 140 million. I know they're not going to share it equally. But look at the citizens. 12 million households receive 48,000 across 6 months. So look at the disparity. So the other monies put out there, yeah, I support the one for the 35 billion for National Judicial Council. I support that one. The 10 billion for Federal Capital Territory, yes, I'm happy about that because I was in Abuja over the weekend, and guess what? Most of the street lights from the airport were not working down into Abuja town. So maybe they need to do a lot of work as regards that and internally, because that's our state, country's capital. The 19.2 billion for Ministry of Agriculture to address massive destruction of farmlands, I support that to do to follow. But how are they going to spend that money? How is it going to trickle down to the basic farmers? Then the 500 billion for the palliative. This time around, they are saying that they're going to use wallets. They've always talked about wallets in the past, like sent by wallets. But how can we effectively authenticate the amount and how much is really going to all of these farmers out there? Personally, I've never been in support of these handouts because they get it muddled up in Nigeria. I tried doing something on social media, and you might argue that it's not empirical enough. I've asked that people that receive the money, can they come out? But we hardly see most of them. In fact, the office in charge of disbursing this national, register, they send me a message back on Twitter and say, oh, Rufai, there are a lot of them, most of them might not be on Twitter. Can we even see some members of these families are receiving this money? Because the last thing we heard was during COVID, where the humanitarian minister was sharing money for people in the hands, and you can't be accountable that way. So at first, I can't wait for the census to even start. Let's even have data to work with. There are not enough data sets to work with. Question. So what even makes up these families? Those are the questions we're asking. Now for the lawmakers that want to collect 70 billion, let the poor breathe. Fear God. Fear God. Absolutely. Let the poor breathe. People are crying, and you even have the temerity, the infantry, the unmitigated nerve to even put your own money in this while poor people are suffering.
All right.
I yield the floor.
Well, all right. In another development, a federal high court in Abuja on Thursday dismissed a fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by Nnamdi Kanu against the Department of State Services. The presiding judge, James Omotosho, held that Kanu's suit lacked merit and ought to be dismissed. In the suit, Kanu alleged that he was subjected to inhumane treatment and torture by the DSS, and also claimed that he is not allowed to wear his Igbo traditional attire, popularly called Ishiagu, and that he is restricted to wearing only one outfit, while other detainees are allowed to wear clothes of their choice. Well, in a counter affidavit, the DSS denied the allegations and stated that operatives never tortured Kanu, either physically or mentally, while in their custody. Well, the secret police submitted that the facility is not a recreational center or a traditional festival where Kanu and other suspects will be allowed to adorn themselves in their respective native attire. Well, in the meantime, following up on the insecurity in the Southeast, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, on Thursday, in a tweet that has now gone viral, described the sit-at-home directive in the Southeast imposed by a group of Biafra agitators as the handiwork of a criminal enterprise. Peter Obi called on security agencies to take urgent steps to deal with the heightened insecurity in the region and crime across the country. He also clarified that the indigenous peoples of Biafra have disowned the sit-at-home directive and also commended southeastern governors for their efforts in curbing criminal activities in the region. One of the reactions to Peter Obi's tweet was from a self-proclaimed Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government, Simon Ekpa, who lives in Finland. In responding to Obi's tweet, described him as the spokesperson of the indigenous peoples of Biafra. Well, Dr. Bati, this tweet by Samuel Ekpa garnered a lot of reactions, but you know, Peter Obi did not say anything different from what we have been saying. Also, we do know that IPOP had already disassociated themselves from, you know, all the menace happening in the Southeast. I'd love for you to just quickly comment before we...
I think I'll be very brief.
Yes.
Simon Ekpa should just be ignored. He can't sit in Finland and be causing problems in Nigeria. Why the Nigerian government has not further pursued the diplomatic channel for ensuring that the Finnish authorities call him to order or sanction him one way or the other is what I do not understand. Maybe that's something for the Tinubu administration to consider. The second point is that Mr. Peter Obi was making a patriotic point by saying that, look, you know, peace and security is important. And that IPOP, speaking through Emma Powerful, I haven't seen a statement from him lately, You know, he's been quiet. Maybe he will wake up and say something. You know, the IPOB does not support sit at home. And the people supporting sit at home and the violence belong to a criminal enterprise. So, Mr. Obi, speaking as a statesman. Finally, as for the matter before the court of Justice James Omotosho, where the court says, you know, found in favor of the DSS.
Yes.
To say that you can't wear Isiagu in detention. There is a dress code. When you are detained, in fact, they don't allow you to use belt.
It's
you
not
you can't use belt.
Right.
You can't use tie. You can't go to you can't be in detention and say you want to dress as you like, because they say they don't want you to use anything that can send the wrong message or endanger your life.
Well said,
but in any case,
Martin.
this is fundamental human rights, and he has pushed the matter, and the court has ruled.
Well said.
That's
This is Bod TV Bod. In case the first time you come here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more uploads.